Welcome, everybody. It is the women's call, but all are welcome. Um, and just a reminder, our seminar is coming up October 31st, 8:30 to 3:30. So you will be out in time before dark to get home for trick-or-treaters or for your own family time. And then followed by that is Pure and Powerful in Toronto. And so it makes a nice weekend for upgrading your skills and learning a ton. So we have prepared so much. So just so you know, for the DC2 October 31st, we will be doing a review of day zero, day one, that initial phone calls, post-exam phone calls, post-adjustment phone calls. We will be doing a mini review of day two and then going in more detail with Dr. Brian for day three. We will be following with a tick off and a prize so that we practice doing some older ticks that we always use and learning some new ticks, chiropractics for patient education. And finally, going into day four, orientation day, and day five, what to expect cleanup day. So that is coming up for the seminar. Today, we're for the women's talk. I had two parts going through some of the challenges in life as moms. We go from dating to finding our spouse or our partner to having children to them moving out of the house, and 10 ways to help keep your relationship during that time and keep it strong. Then going into what is it to be a people pleaser, and culturally, many women and men as well, but we become people pleasers and it's to our fault. So we want to get into that. And finally, if we have time, I have over 25 one liners from seminars that I thought I'd share that would be great. So today, getting into the first part of the three parts, dating. So that time is, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of our mindset. And if you're starting to run your practice at the same time, it can be a real challenge finding out how you fit in with your health goals and your political goals. And then you go into getting married and preparing a wedding. That's my own daughter's trying to work as a chiropractor, but then also trying to find wedding venues and set up something that's for you, but also fits your family. So it takes a lot of time and um, working with your new spouse about things you agree upon and disagree, and finding out how to practice your faith together. Finally, is if you're starting up a brand new practice, that on a relationship takes a lot of time away from the relationship, increases a lot of stress. And that's why in many of the coaching programs, including Max Living, they would say, don't get married, buy a house, and start a practice all in the same year and have a baby. Try to do one big milestone at a time because it can be overwhelming. They even will go sometimes to make sure to try to have children after you start practice, so you're not trying to do too much, because that beginning years of starting practice is difficult. Finally, when you get into kids, babies are actually the easiest, the little ones, because they sleep a lot. But then once they start to move and motor and get into their sports, it take a lot of time and effort. This is where we start to learn to delegate more, get nannies, and the schedules tend to get crazy. And then you get in teenagers and you're worried about them driving, being out late, having the correct friends, and finally in university, if they're going to make the right decisions. I remember watching a party for my son at Queen's University, and somehow I saw a video of people jumping off the roof of the house. I'm like, oh my God, please. I hope my son doesn't jump off the roof of the house. Um, it was a good 20-foot drop with trying to get people to catch them, and a few people did get caught, and a few people didn't and got pretty hurt. So just trying to watch your kids navigate that, and then of course the empty nest. So when you get through these stages, it causes stress on relationships, and women, men. There's certain parts where we feel like it can challenge us, challenge our relationship. So the 10 points that I wanted to talk about today was how to keep our relationship strong through these different changes. So I got 10 points plus a bonus. Number one is planning those date nights. And so people might think that's crazy, shouldn't be planned. But for us, I plan one date night a month. Sometimes that date night is just going for a walk. Sometimes that date night is just going to Starbucks for a tea. Sometimes that date night is just sitting on the couch holding hands and preparing and thinking ahead of a movie that we'd both like to watch. But it is a set time where, yes, you're getting daycare or you put everything else aside, and it's in those double yellow zones. And I prepare, so for you that think I'm kind of type A, I have prepared my calendar for 2026. I know all of my holidays, all of my seminars, booked all of my locums for 2026. And then now that I got the big blocks in, they printed out, and then I start to put those are the bigger holidays, bigger seminars, times away from the office. And then I start to plan in, okay, when am I seeing my uh, um, um, parents, and how am I planning in seeing certain cousins or certain friends. Like I try to put all of the things that are important to me into the calendar right away. Number two is going to marriage seminars. My favorite one is called Family Life. They do the across Canada and the US. My first time that my husband went, he went dragging. He didn't want to do any marriage conferences, but then he loved when he found out that there was a part about sex. So, yes, there's many different parts, conflict resolutions, how to compliment your spouse, love languages, but it is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday that is committed to your partner, and literally changes your course of your life and helps your relationship be that much stronger and get to know each other. Um, so absolutely, absolutely recommend it. I've done several, try to do one every 2 years. So we've been married for 26 years. We've done many. We just recently, last year, did Pastor Aaron through Max Living, and we've done 3 with him, and they were awesome. So next time he's doing one, I encourage you to join. Number 3 is planning your family time um, and parents only holidays. And that is difficult for me because I always just wanted to have my kids, right? I was working, so I didn't want to have that time away from the kids. So planning at least a night away. Or a weekend away. Some families, my dad was better, he would do a week away, but parents only time away from the home. And the reason why I say away from them home, maybe it's a hotel night, maybe no, I wouldn't encourage a cottage. It's somebody an Airbnb. But the reason why is because I know for many of us, and I'm maybe speaking for myself, but if I'm at home, I'm finding something that needs to be done. If I were at the cottage or the trailer, I'm finding something that needs to be done. And my 100% focus isn't on Blake. So finding a way to get away so that 100% focus is away. And if you type A like me, I need to exercise right away. I need to like dump the garbage once I get going. And then once I dump the garbage, then I can 100% focus on my spouse. So recommending a parents only holiday, minimum once a year, and ideally if you could do it quarterly. When they're little, I think for us it was very difficult to do quarterly. Number 4 is your 12-month marketing plan, internal and external. So you no longer have to think about it. Know your booths, know your events, know your themes, know your dinner dates, know your makeover dates. So my double yellow line is everything's done by December 1st. That's why I'm working on it now for 2026. I started working on my 2026 plan in January of 2025 so that it's completed by December 1st, and just setting that deadline so that there's less thinking that you have to do on a regular basis. And then that 12-month calendar can be given to all of your teammates to put in, your computer at the office for your schedule, but they also know your priorities and what's happening as far as talks in the office, dinners. There's no surprises, and they can link that calendar to their own calendars on their phone. Number 5 is planning family chat times. Some people will do that Sunday nights. For us, that was a challenge. Sunday meant 5 different rinks, 4 different people going to 4 different rinks, and Sundays didn't work, but car time did work. So we always had a drive time, and we planned it weekly where we talked about weekly goals for the kids, for ourselves, what's happening, and sort of chunking down goals for the family and making sure everybody could support everybody, even if it's school projects, talks that were coming up, what was happening, so the kids could see how we were planning our lives and then in turn learn how to plan their own lives. Number 6 was by Christmas morning, the goals were written down. So we had a sheet that I would give to the kids. I also gave it to my staff, and they'd write down their goals, their spiritual goals, their financial goals. So even as 6 years old, I'd be talking to them about their savings for university, how they were saving their, money that they got for report cards, or for doing gifts. And we would talk about their athletic goals, their health goals, their vitamin goals, um, their family, friends goals. So we'd take the categories and they would write out their goals as well as a reward for reaching them. And then we would, by January 1st, go over last year's goals and check off everything that they got. For example, A plus average or A average, or do well with their sports team. And of course, having my husband and I, we would post ours. Mine are posted in the bathroom so that everybody would be able to see each other's goals, um, and then support them with it. Now, we write them out differently. So the girls in the household, we are like explicit. We write all the different steps, and it's filled in every spot. There's no space on the sheet. And then my son is a man of few words, writes very little. And then for health, he might write go to bed early, because at that time, he's getting up for 5:30 a.m. to skate by 6 a.m. So he'd write very little, and my husband would write very little, but at least it got the thought process going, to making sure having a deadline and writing out those goals and talking about them and sharing them. My kids had goal boards. They were the kind that you could write on with a dry erase. So their goals and their goal boards and things that were important were posted on those goal boards in their rooms. So it became something of maybe not a nightly routine, but definitely weekly routine as we were putting them in bed. Even, and I think we started this, maybe 3 years of age, like a young age, that they had their goal boards. So when doing prayers before bed or reading before bed, we had that opportunity for them to see their goals on a regular basis. That was number 7. Number 8 is finding ways to split the jobs and delegate in the house. So delegating, I don't like to cut the grass. It's not my favorite thing. Find somebody to do that. But I love to do all the flowers, and Blake hates to do the flowers and the vegetables. So that would be my job. I hate cooking. He loves cooking. I'm the laundry and cleanup person. So having a nanny, having a house cleaner, delegate as much as possible, but splitting the jobs, and then to create that love language. For example, doing a job for someone else that's regularly their job when they don't expect it. Number 9 is knowing your love languages. So yes, we did disc profiles. I started, I think, with the kids around 10 years of age. So the kids saw our disc profiles, and then we've done different ways of doing disc profiles, colors, Vim, you name it, since. But sharing it with each other and making that, because they do change on a regular basis. And it allows us to get to know each other better in our communication. So to give you an example, I think my son was around 12 or 13, and he did his disc profile, and I've always been a high D, but he was 100% D, nothing else, 100% D. And I'm like, that's impossible. Like, how can you not have anything else? No I, no S, no C. And so when I went to talk to him about it, his response was simple: if I can't control it, I don't care. And now, since doing his disc profile, it has changed as he's grown up, but it really did help me understand why sometimes he didn't talk about things, because honestly, if it wasn't something in his control, he didn't care, so he had nothing to say. Number 10 is definitely planning that intimacy time. So, intimacy time with your spouse. We went to a marriage seminar, and I think they said it was 1.8 times you should have intimacy per week. And I remember my husband and I laughing at that you actually could quantify that. But we both remembered it was somewhere between 1 and 2, and had lots of giggles at this pastor who was promoting intimacy among the Christians. So making sure you plan that time with your partner, but then also planning the cuddle time with your kids, and making sure that it is a weekly event. And number 11, I think, as a bonus, is whenever you're disagreeing with your spouse, your partner, somebody who's important in your life, you do it in private. So you don't disagree vehemently or have any arguments to disagree in front of your staff, even if you violently disagree or like really oppose that. Discuss that in private and promote your partner in front of others, so that always you're putting your partner as first versus your relationships ahead of being right. I don't say we get that right all the time, but it's certainly something that I think we can work on. So the 11 things to keep your relationship as women, as we're challenging ourselves through the different stages of life, is planning, planning, and planning. If you read through our list of 10 with the bonus at the end. Second part, I wanted to go about being a people pleaser. And many times our culture has it so that women are, it's not a gender issue, it's a culture issue where we're trained to be people pleasers or to make peace, make things right, make things good for others. But that leads to 80% of women having autoimmune diseases. Women are more prone to this stress on their shoulders. And so, why would that be? Some of the 4 characteristics that I see that maybe why women are more people pleasers than men is: number one, they always want to put other people's needs ahead of their own, especially their emotional needs ahead of their own. And I know in my own life, I would not sleep in order to make sure everybody else got what they needed, and that included in the when the kids were younger. There was many times, Brian would see me. I could be standing and sleeping. I could be driving and sleeping because I would always be putting everybody else's emotional needs before my own. Number two is identifying with the duty or your role rather than your self health. And I certainly did that as well. Identified as the mother, the lead chiropractor, and it was all about fitting in that role, the captain of the hockey team, and everything there went ahead of my own health. Um, and even though I had exercise specific times and routines, maybe it went ahead more of my emotional health. When certainly, if your practice grows, your family grows the best when you're happiest. But sometimes we put these roles and we make them so serious and so more important that we don't make time for ourselves. Number three is trying to be super nice, be light. And that leads to repressed, healthy anger. Certainly for me, with my husband, he knows after having some difficult relationships, I can't handle yelling. I can't handle slam doors. I don't handle even difficult tones of voice. So we had to learn how to communicate if we disagree, and what to do if one of us is angry, so we don't repress it and hold it in or give each other the silent treatment too long. And number four is feeling responsible for how other people feel, and never wanting to disappoint anybody. So just always trying to do the thing so that other people are happy rather than what's right or what's fair. That means not being able to say no to the demands that are constantly on us, and that's because we feel we have to constantly say yes. So a few questions to see if you are a people pleaser. uh, Number one is, do you find difficulty to say no or to set boundaries? And this can be in different aspects of your life. So for me, it was more difficult to say no with the kids. If they needed something, if they needed, say, their lunches made, I was at times to get my exercise routine in. I remember getting up at 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m. to make sure I could get my stuff done, to get their stuff done before we left the house at 5:30 a.m. Do you agree with people all the time to prevent conflict? Or do you just say nothing to avoid conflict? And that would have been my son. Just he'd say nothing rather than create an argument. He would just say, I don't care. And number three is, are you worried about what other people think about you? And number four is struggling with self confidence in different areas of your life. It doesn't have to be all areas. So maybe it's working with conversions in your office, something at work in your office. Weight loss would have been an area that's always been a challenge for me, in a work in progress. Fitness for me, competing with these 20 and 30-year-olds is tough. So how do I get myself in shape for that? um, competing with parents and parents' expectations, with friends, with social media. And if you said yes to any of these, that probably means you are a people pleaser in some way. And that means a people pleaser means that you're trying hard to please others at the expense of yourself and your own displeasure. And often when we're increasing our business time or increasing our family time, that means we're often decreasing our friend time. And that can have that implication of trying to be that people pleaser. Um, so people pleasers will say yes also to things that they really wish they didn't have to say yes, and they can end up feeling drained, put out, taken advantage of, and exhausted. It can lead to lack of self respect, lack of self esteem, misery, internal conflict. Um, and eventually it can be toxic because we're not taking care of our own health. And again, I've done this. Like I said, when I was in my 30s, I was working so hard to build the business, so hard to please the family, make everything work with the family, like my immediate family and external family, that I can't even tell you how many times I fell asleep at the wheel. I'm so grateful that I think I only had one accident that I fell asleep at the wheel. But like it was the point where I was so tired that I remember I would hire drivers to drive me to hockey so that I would make sure that I wouldn't fall asleep at the wheel. So looking at how everybody will go to different extremes, but finding out if you are that people pleaser or you're somebody who just wants to make sure you're always fitting in, our fear of not fitting in will lead to that unhealthy response. People pleasers will cover up their own feelings. They won't speak up or avoid confrontation. They'll agree to something, even to do something, even though they don't really want to, or they'll act like something's good or perfect, even when it's not. Um, Sometimes they don't even realize that we're people pleasers. We're doing it unconsciously, even though internally might feel sad, angry, or not understood, or not heard. Cry in the pillow, right? Like feeling like overwhelmed because we're trying to meet everybody else's needs and not setting up those boundaries that we need. So here's some of the falsehoods that a people pleaser might think to see if that is you. I align and conform myself with other people's expectations of me, and then people will like me. I'll do these things, and then people will like me, or things will go well. I'm kind to everybody, so people will be kind to me. I do the right thing, so people will approve of me, or respect me, or accept me. And when we don't have those thoughts, we get rid of that balance. So I have 5 ways to manage being a people pleaser. If that is you, or you fit into that culture of for females being people pleasers, but I think it affects many of us in some aspect of our life. So number one is knowing who you are, your thoughts, your beliefs, your fears, your faith, your motivations, knowing and identifying your tendencies, and knowing your risks. And so for me to just that self awareness that, yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. And it was putting my health at risk in the car driving. And so how did I put, ways to support that by having drivers, by if I was driving myself at a stoplight, I would put it in park just in case. Number two is making a conscious effort to say no every single day. So say no when you want to say no, to be polite and affirmative, but not be a yes sayer just to be liked. And number three is don't be in a haste to make a decision. So a lot of times they say ask a busy person to get something done because busy people get stuff done. And that meant for me, I would never say no. If people volunteering, stuff from the church, stuff to help the different kids' sports teams, yes, 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 I can take it on. But that meant at expense of my own health. So an example in figure skating, synchronized figure skating, you needed to get 16 girls hair and makeup done, and the other moms, like, they cannot handle stress. So I'd just say I'll do it, whatever. So it meant I'd get up at 3, do my run. I remember being in Stratford running outside 3 a.m., seeing people who are drunk all over, get inside, shower, and they needed to have 16 girls hair and makeup done while the other moms did food because that was easier for them. and it was all shit food. So then I would bring my proper food for my daughter, and I would do the hair and makeup so they wouldn't stress out. So when they say about not being in a haste, it means taking some extra time for decisions and using the thing when somebody asks you to do something. The response, automatic response, let me get back to you. Let me just think about that. Let me get back to you. At the office, it happened yesterday. Somebody said, I need to talk to you. You know what? It's mid shift. Let's book a date. I am not going to be torn and pulled away from my PTC in the middle of the shift, even if it's a staff member. And I don't know what the solution is, but I almost set a date. I'd love to chat with them, but it's not going to happen in the middle of shift. Even if at that time there wasn't a patient, in 2 minutes there's going to be a patient. These little delays help us put in perspective. So one of the research studies from Columbia said that it only takes 50 to 100 milliseconds for us to think about it, make a better decision. Number 4 is practicing that self-love that is not selfish. So whether it's getting nails done, getting a massage done, going for a walk, going for a hike, organizing your closet, something that is for yourself, a nap, not feeling guilty of a nap, genuinely learning to love ourselves. So Dr. Peter Amlinger would say, look in the mirror naked and say, I love you 5 times. And make sure that you do that on a weekly basis. In the mirror naked, I love you 5 times. And number 5 is being authentic towards your views. So voicing your opinions without fears, that's truly chiropractic. Practicing how you communicate those genuine feelings. If we lie about our feelings or hold them back, it can cause that stress within us. And for example, I have to be very, very cautious. My parents are in the whole CNN, COVID, I don't know, you name flu shot stuff. So how do I manage those conversations without getting angry, but staying authentic to myself? I mean, sometimes that means just walking out of the room rather than having an argument, and rather than feeling like I can't express myself, get myself out of the room. So teaching the world though, and teaching others how to be treated or how to treat you. So that's honest feedback to somebody about how they talk to you or how they treat you. And that is, maybe easier with our significant other, but sometimes harder with the staff that certain language. So I give you an example, a staff member was given a holiday, and that's sweet by her parents. However, she was giving me 2 days notice that she was taking a week off. And to have that conversation of how much that hurt, how much that was going to hurt the patients, how much that was going to hurt the team, and that I was disappointed that she's an adult and she had an adult job, even if her parents bought her a free trip to Jamaica. So that when we say no, sometimes that opens up those other opportunities. When we are not people pleasers and not following that cultural norm that we have those roles to follow as women, we have to fit into certain um, uh, characters that are demanded or expected, but that we can be ourselves and express ourselves with our team, with our loved ones. That will take a lot of the stress off our minds. The last part that I want to share, the third part, was 25 one-liners that I've saved from some different seminars. So this is get the pens out because some of these are just awesome to share for yourself or with your patients. I'm probably not going to number them because I'll get mixed up, but the past does not equal the future, that there are no coincidences. This is always happening for a reason. So to give you an example of that one, my daughter is waiting on her visa. She has 1 more week on her student visa, and then she's in the US illegally. So a lot of stress, a lot of faith for her. But coming out of that, she's told us that she wants to be baptized as an adult coming up at Christmas when we all come out there because she's met a new church family. So there are no coincidences. Things happen for a reason. Every patient wants and can afford care. Your beliefs are supporting you. I use transformational vocabulary. I am here to transform my patients to a max living culture. For example, there are no problems. This is just a challenge. This is just a hurdle. We will beat it. Instead of the winter, we're freezing to death. This is the time to go skiing. This time to go snowboarding, and then put our tongue out to enjoy the snow. You get what you look for in life. Um, TU, like instead of TU being for thank you, TU is for time to grow. And it's an opportunity to put that as a sticky somewhere if challenges are happening your way. I'm not tired or burnt out. I'm recharging. So this is an example for me today. On Sunday, it was amazing. The Sunday morning hockey game, because I'm in a lot better shape, lost weight. I played one of my best games ever. Then I went to play hockey with the guys in the evening, feeling on top of the world, first shift. One of the best players on the ice, about the size of my husband, so maybe a bit bigger than my husband, maybe 220, 230. And so I'm super competitive. I want to stop him, even though he's 70, 80 pounds bigger than me. And I did. So on a one-on-one, stopped him, took out the body. But of course, take out the body meant I'm smaller than him. He lands on me. And I don't know if I broke my ribs or cracked my ribs, but it certainly hurts. And every day is like, I don't need a painkiller. My body is healing. I can't run today. I can't barely lift weights, but I am recharging. I'm growing. And it's a time to just make myself stronger and certainly help understand others that have rib injuries. Um, Nothing has a meaning in life except the meaning that you give it. Emotional fitness creates mental toughness. I'm stretching to learn. Um, Good timber does not grow with ease. It needs strong wind to create a strong tree. Don't just be a talker, be a walker, right? Don't just be a talker, to be a doer. Work on your character, not your reputation. The first thing we teach kids when they're learning to skate is how to get up. The best achievements um, have a high failure quotient. And if you talk to the top leaders, they have failed more times than they have um, passed or succeeded or won. But the failures make us stronger. I can save lives, and with God's help, the biggest practices are the ones who seek, not the ones who seek out to serve, not the ones who seek patience. The office is a ministry for healing. Chiropractic adjustments are a way to love, a way to serve our patients. I love that we're saying sometimes just beam me up, Scotty, beam me up, put me the energy in. Whatever is a sort of a warrior, a titan, a move to build your energy. The most difficult thing a man is to do is to lean on the Lord and let his work be done. That was R.J. Kelly who said that. Um, Tell me what's right with you. So when you're seeing a patient or seeing a loved one, tell me what's going on better. And if you're talking to a friend who's challenging themselves, or you're challenging yourself, if you had a friend who spoke to you that way or spoke to yourself that way, um, would you still be friends with that person? And one of Dr. Peter Amlinger's is the innate in me blesses the innate in you. And I love this one. The hotter the fire, the stronger the steel. So I wanted to share some one-liners that I get from seminars. So I hope everybody takes ton out of this. Reminder, our seminar is coming up. This is the time to invite friends. This is time to learn and grow together, to build that strength, build that steel, generate that love, and learn how to work together in a safe place. So if you are one of those people pleasers, or you're one of those people that just want to fit in, this is a place where you will fit in. This is a place where it's safe to learn, safe to fail, and get better so you can serve your community better. So thanks so much. We also will have a female breakfast coming up. And all those that are interested, please contact me. That's coming up soon. And it will be in sort of the North Toronto near the 401 area in order to help create more community and more connection. Thank you.